In April of 2016, Barbara's live-in boyfriend, Mr. Hunt, he had passed away. However, Barbara had just gone blind the month before, so after her boyfriend died, Gary and Brandy took over her finances. They took her to the bank and got her first ATM card, and from there, it's, all on the cameras. Every time they would swipe that card at an ATM machine, anytime they would go to the mall, Victoria's Secrets, American Eagle, and spend thousands on Barbara's dime. So that's what they were doing with that money.
It was Heather's time to get the referral, and I knew she was going to do a great job.
What stood out on the referral were the players involved, the alleged subjects at the time. We were familiar with those names.
We had history in the past, so we kind of knew maybe what we were going to get ourselves into before we even knocked on the door. We probably were going to be faced with some resistance. So this story is a great story. Barbara is somebody who is able to tell what happened to her. Financial exploitation we know is happening across the state. She was able to tell her story to law enforcement, to the DA's office, and she was able to make the situation stop.
When I get a referral, I speak with my supervisor and my senior caseworker on how we handle the case, and we come up with a plan.
She looked at everything. She interviewed Barbara, she interviewed the subjects, who the subjects said Barbara had dementia. Barbara didn't know what she was talking about. On
my initial home visit, Gary and Brandy would answer the door and they wouldn't let us in. So that was a red flag. They kept saying Barbara was asleep, she didn't feel well. Or when I called the home, Brandy would answer and say that Barbara's got dementia, she can't speak for herself. So they wouldn't let me speak with her on the phone privately. So that was a red flag. We used home-delivered meals as a way in. We approached Gary and Brandy in a way that we wanted to help them, so that way they can have less stress and be better caregivers. So we took that point to do that in order to really see what the dynamics were between the family, so we can see if there's power and control, and to see really what was going on. When I first met Barbara, she was quiet, very standoffish. She was always laying in the dark in her bed. There was no lights in the house.
But Heather sat there, Heather listened to Barbara. She took the time to find out what was going on.
Barbara and I, we have a good relationship. She's got a great sense of humor. She was always open to me coming in, making those calls, and going through garbage bags together and trying to find more documentation of what was going on with her financial.
And she looked, investigated her bank accounts, got the information from the banks, and she just, really, at the whole picture, she was able to take it all in.
I would say that my biggest concern was for Barbara's safety. As a caseworker, I want to help fix the problem, not make it worse.
For Barbara to not know that this was happening to her, and then having our APS caseworker, Heather Jett, uncover all this and share this with Barbara was very impactful.
My biggest fear is that Barbara could have been dead if it wasn't for Adult Protective getting involved and, putting services in place and gathering family that could help and make a difference for Barbara.